Hugh, yesterday towards the end of our show, the news broke that an unnamed at that time NFL team had kind of started the push behind the scenes to ban the tush push. We now know those cowards in Green Bay, the Packers, were the team to do this. So
that's crazy.
I know. Well, they lost twice to the Eagles, so maybe they're a little salty from this past season.
A little salty, hella salty.
So the Packers trying to ban the tush push, Hugh Douglas, and we'll see where it goes. The NFL's got their meeting, competition committee, but this is the first time it feels like a formal thing. Because in the last couple of years, it's been like, someone's going to try to get this out, but now we have a team formally going to the NFL trying to get rid of this thing. Hugh, it really begs the question, because the Eagles have become so proficient at this play, that if it happens, if the Packers gain enough support here, Hugh, to get this banned, is it a big deal for the Philadelphia Eagles? Like, let's fast forward, Hugh. In your mind, 2025 season opens, tush push is banned. Big deal?
Yes, I think so. And the reason why I think so is I'm afraid. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm afraid of the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen because I am so used to that play being money. That's a money play.
It is.
You talk about, I was listening to the morning show, shout out to the morning show, and they were talking about how Saquon probably would have been the MVP of the league if Jalen wouldn't have vultured his touchdowns. That is a money play. So now we're talking about, and it's been a money play for the Eagles for years. Now we're talking about taking away something that has been so clutch that now it's up in the air. I'm pretty sure that Coach Sirianni and those guys, as much as they've been talking about banning the tush push, that they probably got something up their sleeve that's a variation of it. But the fact that they're talking about banning it, that's almost like taking food off the table.
Well, I can't argue that. I mean, it would. It's a money play. It's as close to an automatic as you get in the NFL, 90-something% the last couple of years. And to be clear, I want it to stay. I hope it stays. I think it's really soft of the Packers and soft NFL teams to try to get rid of this. It's effectively a different kind of quarterback sneak, right? It's not, to me, taking it away is just silly. There's not conclusive data. Sometimes we have inconclusive data on this show. It's not conclusive data that there's any sort of significant injury thing. But here's where I'm at on this. In 215-592-9494, Hugh, I want it to stay. I think it's silly they're trying to take it away. But I don't think it's a big deal because I think, although you're right, it's automatic, they don't run it that much. Like in the last 3 years, the Eagles have run this play 108 times. That's in 3 years. So we're talking about 2.5 times per game. It's not like it's a play they run in certain key situations, right? 4th and 1, goal line. You mentioned Jalen and the touchdown. He got a touchdown to start the Super Bowl with it. But I don't view it as a thing they can't overcome. They're still going to have Jeff Stoutland. They're still going to have the best offensive line in the NFL. They're still going to have Saquon. They're still going to have Jalen, who I think could succeed with a different kind of running play. I just don't view it as the kind of thing where if they don't have it, we're in deep trouble, or it's a big deal. I'd rather have it. I think it's silly the NFL's doing this, but I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep. This is the opposite usually. Usually I'm nervous and scared.
That's crazy.
I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep if we lose the tush push. I think the Eagles will be just fine. 215-592-9494. Ryan Clark on ESPN yesterday, he had a pretty strong take on all this softness about the tush push.
How soft do you have to be? Oh, we can't stop it. Our defensive tackles aren't tough enough. Our linebackers get hurt. Shut the hell up and bow your neck. Somebody get physical and stop the play. And as Mina says, though, it's like everything else in sports. If you don't have the personnel to do it, you actually don't do it. To go in there and be like, instead of actually coaching, let's run away from coaching and try to outlaw this play. It's dumb and it's soft.
Well, I agree with them. It is soft. I mean, the Packers come across as crybabies, as soft, as just they're just trying to take a lever away from the best team in the NFL who beat them twice this year. I think it's actually ridiculous that we're getting to the point where they're trying to ban. I mean, I can't think of a play, Hugh, that's been banned in sports because it was too successful. Again, if there's injury risk, then that's different, right? That they got rid of the wedge and the kickoff and all that.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been enough data, and I haven't seen enough players come off the field significantly injured where you think this is really a big injury risk. So they're just going to take it away or try to because the Eagles are good at it? That's annoying. Yeah,
and that's why I think it's a big deal because you're trying to take away something that you can't compensate for.
Yeah.
The NFL is a copycat league. And we've seen, as a matter of fact, the Green Bay Packers try to use the tush push at times. Other teams have tried to use the tush push. We saw the Buffalo Bills try to use it. it's one of those things that in the NFL you always try to emulate your opponents or whatever. Other teams can't do it. The Green Bay Packers are mad because they can't do it, and they're also mad because they can't stop it. But I think that to punish the Eagles for having a play that they've designed that has been so automatic is ridiculous.
Well, I agree. I mean, again, I totally agree. It is a ridiculous premise brought up by the Packers, and we'll see how the competition committee handles it. I want the play to stay. I don't think it's going to change the outlook of the 2025 Eagles if they don't have the tush push. I think they're going to be a 12 or 13 win team, whatever they're going to be. But regardless, they have better players. They have a great front office, and I think they'll figure it out. Like if you take it away, they'll do something different. They'll run the ball with Saquon or another back. They'll use Jalen on a different kind of run.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure some variations, but I don't want any variations.
I know you don't.
I want it to be what it was, because the one thing about the NFL that I enjoy and prided myself about being a part of is that the adaptability of the league. You know, everybody made a big deal about the too high safety thing this year. The NFL started to adapt. They started running the ball a little bit more. It's always been a league that has thrived and has been the most exciting game in the United States because of that fact, because of the fact that you have different stars that emerge every year, and the jerseys and the back of the names on the jerseys change every year, and you get somebody else new to root for. That's the great part about these sports. And to take away something that has been so dominant for the Philadelphia Eagles to me, is ridiculous.
Well, it is. It's silly, but we might get there. I mean,
I don't think it's going to happen, Joe. To be honest, I don't think it's going to happen.
I hope you're right. But once it's in the hands of the competition committee, and once a team starts to bang the drum for it, there is a chance it happens. I hope it does, but there's a chance it happens.
The crybaby team that got their ass kicked twice. That's who's crying. I mean, and to be honest, it sounds ridiculous. And I'm pretty sure that when you get up there and you present the data that you feel is that you feel is strong enough to compel the committee, I don't think it's going to be enough, because I think the consensus was a couple years ago. I mean, adapt. And teams have tried to adapt. Jacksonville Jaguars stopped it, I think, twice this year. They had the right personnel. So instead of complaining about it, just go out and get the right personnel and try to stop it the next time you play the Eagles.
Well, that's what teams have tried to do, and they failed for a few years now. 215-592-9494. Is it a big deal? All right, before we go to lines, I'm going to make a comparison that I was thinking about yesterday after we talked about it. It would be something the Eagles would have to change and overcome, right, losing it. But I think the best figure it out. And what I mean by that is, back, I think it was 04, 05, the NBA banned hand checking. You used to be able to hand check, keep your hand on the opponent's body kind of as they moved around the perimeter in basketball. And then in 04, 05, around there, they took away the hand check. It did affect some players. It did affect defense in the NBA. But you know who it didn't affect? Ron Artest, Kevin Garnett, Kawhi Leonard, the best defensive players still played awesome defense. They didn't need to hand check to play good defense on the best offensive scorers in the NBA. That's the way I view this. Like, if a middling team used the tush push, then I think they'd be in trouble. The Philadelphia Eagles have Saquon Barkley. They have the best offensive line coach in the league. They have the best offensive line in the NFL. And they have a quarterback who's been running since he was probably 5 years old playing quarterback. He is a great running quarterback. I think he could figure it out and get a yard or two when he needs. 215-592-9494. Big deal, no big deal if the NFL does ban the tush push. Kyle, where do you come down as the Packers are crying and the NFL's listening?
Yeah, so first of all, I agree with the whole idea that it's so soft to want this thing banned. But
it's kind of sad, actually.
It really is. It's pathetic. But, like, if they did ban it, I think it's a huge deal for the Eagles. Like, so I don't have percentages in front of me, but I would wager that a very large majority of Jalen Hurts' rushing touchdowns are the tush push.
I'd agree with that.
Like, a huge majority of them. And I just think we're shortchanging how much of a leg up it gives the Eagles on the rest of the league to be able to run that play at the rate, the success rate that they do. Like, not even just touchdowns, but like 1 yard plays. Nick Sirianni always said 1st and 9, right? Like, that's a huge deal for us. And it's not just something that everyone can easily replicate. And it's very rare that you see it stopped. Like, I think getting that 1 yard at the goal line is a little bit tougher than we're acting like. We've seen, like we said, we have Saquon Barkley. We've seen Saquon get stopped at the 1 yard. How many times have we just had the opportunity to do the tush push at the 1 yard line because we were stopped at the one?
Like Saquon, like 10 times this year got stopped.
That 1 yard is not a given, and I think it would just totally change how the Eagles manage games, how Nick Sirianni manages games, and I think it would be a massive deal if they banned it for the Eagles.
Yeah, so I agree with you both that the degree of difficulty would go up for the Eagles because they've mastered a play. I mean, in the mic'd up at the Super Bowl, Hugh, when they score their first touchdown, they have Jalen mic'd up, and he goes into the huddle. He doesn't even call the play. He says to the huddle, I think he said, "You all know what time it is." Like they all know. Like you don't have to call it when they're on the one. It's the tush push. So it's become part of their identity on offense. I understand that. I just think the Eagles are good enough, smart enough, and have enough great players that will it increase the degree of difficulty to score some touchdowns? Sure. But I don't think it's going to appreciably change things.